maybe talk a little bit about how that sugar and the processed food is also not just diminishing your nitric oxide, but also your acid balance,
Yeah.
your pH balance in the stomach, and how it's just kind of this domino effect.
Yeah, it is. So what's happening is sugar. Sugar's the poison. Sugar's the enemy. High fructose corn syrup, an elevation in fructose causes an increase in uric acid, shuts down nitric oxide production. That pathway is very elucidated. So any food, any diet that leads to an increase in blood sugar, right? We measure that through glucose, continuous glucose monitors. So glucose, as the name implies, is glue. It's sticky, right? And so if you've ever spilt the soda water on the counter or the floor and then come back the next day, it's sticky, right? You know it's there. It's that sugar. It's glue. It sticks things together. So when it's elevated in the circulation, then it's sticking to proteins, right? Things like hemoglobin. And we can measure that. We call that hemoglobin A1C. It's the amount of sugar that's actually stuck or glued to hemoglobin, a protein, an essential protein that has to undergo a conformational change to offload oxygen and pick up carbon dioxide. But if it's glued together by glucose, you can't deliver oxygen. You can't pick up CO2. Patients develop metabolic disease. They become hypoxic. They develop insulin resistance. They get type 2 diabetes. They can't heal their wounds. They get neuropathy, diabetic macular degeneration. And that explains everything about type 2 insulin resistant diabetes. But similar to hemoglobin, it binds to the enzyme nitric oxide synthase and glues it into a conformational state where it can't transfer electrons to generate nitric oxide gas. So we have to eliminate anything. And the beauty of these continuous glucose monitors is anybody can get them. You don't even have to have a prescription for them. But people should wear these and monitor them. And if you're eating a food and you see a rapid increase in blood sugar, then don't do that again, because that is a sign, your body telling you, stop, you're killing me, literally. And then with the dysregulation of acid base balance. So then what happens is you eat that, you get gastric reflux, then you put on antacids. And then, in order for the human body to do two things, break down proteins into amino acids and to regulate acid base balance, you absolutely have to have stomach acid production. Because trypsin only works in an acid environment that breaks down plant or animal proteins into amino acids. And then we use those constituent amino acids to make human proteins, right? We don't assimilate animal proteins or plant proteins. We break those proteins into amino acids and we make human proteins out of them. That's physiology. Then the other important aspect of stomach acid is when you dump that, when you have gastric emptying and the contents of the stomach are emptied into the duodenum, which is the very proximal gut, the small intestines, it senses that acid dump. And then that tells the exocrine pancreas to secrete sodium bicarb to buffer that, right? And it's that secretion of sodium bicarb that regulates acid-base balance in the blood and to maintain cellular potential of minus 25 millivolts. And if you take minus 25 millivolts, you put that through the Nernst equation, that comes up to a pH of 7.4, which is physiological pH. It's a potential hydrogen or electrical potential that's needed to maintain cell membrane integrity and to maintain intracellular or transmembrane signaling. So inhibiting stomach acid production, if I wanted to make you chronically ill and make you dependent upon drug therapy for the rest of your life, the number one thing I would do was inhibit stomach acid production. Next thing I'd do is I would get your cholesterol taking a statin medication. And I'd fluorinate you. I'd put fluoride in your toothpaste, your drinking water, and create dysbiosis. And that's a recipe for disaster. And unfortunately, that's what most Americans are suffering with. And to me, it's no wonder why Americans are some of the sickest people on the planet.
Yeah,
It's very,
and that's where I recommend a digestive enzyme with HCl in it.
absolutely.
And I take HCl Guard every day with all of my meals. Before we get in